with somatic movement exercises, it is about creating an awareness to the areas that are missing information. Yeah. And so we move throughout the day with no problems, except for when we have problems. But a lot of times, even in the movement that we're doing, it can be missing information. And so it will either go extremely quick through a movement, or it might even arc through a movement. And so what we're looking for is that quickness, or that change of pattern, or that almost like it's running over railroad tracks. So like a jitteriness to the movement. And so that gap of information is missing information in our system. And so what we are looking for when we're doing any of these exercises is to really bear witness to our movement. And so it is all about slow and controlled movements into the movement and out of the movement. And so whenever we're doing a movement, we're watching for those little glitches. And if there's any glitches, it's called sensor motor amnesia. And with that, what we want to do when we notice that glitch, we want to move back just before the glitch and move the system through it again. And then if there's another glitch, just reverse. And so it's almost like sandpapering over a rough area on the wall. We want it to be smooth and controlled, because we can make a movement really fast, but can we actually get the motor cortex involved in it and move it slowly and with control into the movement and out of the movement? So it brings in a lot of focus and awareness into it. And the other thing that it helps with, it creates a whole new resting area, like a resting point in our nervous system, in our musculoskeletal system. And so when we think we're at rest, and I think we've talked about this before, it's like when we think we're at rest, but our body's still like, I'm ready to go. And that's our rest. It's like, okay, is there an area just past that with a little bit more ease, a little bit more rest? And so when our systems are in that active, ready to go state, everything has that bit of tension. And so what we're going to do is going to see if when we engage it, can we help it come back to a different landing place in that muscle, in that line of tension, in that existence of being. Yeah. And so as we go through the motions and movements, if there's pain, it's a no-go. You don't want to create pain. You're just reinforcing a pattern. And so if there's pain, I invite you to pause, readjust, redirect, also knowing that there can be different emotional components that may arise, just giving space for them. And even if I'm still going on, you take your moment for you. You don't have to keep up to what I am saying if we were in a big group, right? With being one-on-one, it's a little different because I get to monitor your nervous system, and we're here with you today. Any questions about that at the moment? Okay. So if you would like to allow yourself into a restful position on your back, I brought some pillows out if you want one underneath your head or your knees. It's always nice to begin with a soma scan. And soma is body. And when we say somatic, it is the interiorization of our experience. So allowing ourselves to toss away any preconceived knowledges and experiences with yoga or Pilates or exercise in general. And really invite you in to allow yourself to rediscover your body in a new way. To notice where there is sensor motor amnesia. To notice where there is pain or challenge of movement. We do not want to create more pain. We want ease and controlled movements. So allowing yourself just to be present in the here and the now. Letting yourself to notice if you're cozy. Allowing yourself to adjust if necessary. Doing the Soma scan just gives you a point of reference to this moment. And at the end, we will do another to just see how it is different. Allowing yourself to notice through your body which areas are landed on the floor, which areas are hovering or floating above, or just not allowing themselves to rest into the floor. Bringing your focus up to your breath, noticing, is it a full, deep breath? And where can you feel it? Where does it reach? Are there areas that feel more restricted as you breathe in? Do you notice one side more than the other? Is the breath in the belly or the chest? Bringing your awareness now to your head and neck. Noticing how your head is positioned on the floor. Is it to one side or the other? Is it tilted forward or back? Noticing the tensions in the face, ears, and jaw. Just doing a scan through that region and just noticing, even drawing your attention into your tongue. Bringing your focus now into your neck, the sides, the back, and the front. Noticing if there's any tension in there. Moving your awareness now into your shoulders. Are they up by your ears? Down into the floor? Or up towards the ceiling? Noticing if they are. How is the tension line between the shoulders and the front body? Through the chest. Now bringing your awareness back to your shoulder blades. Noticing if one is pressing into the floor more than the other, or if it's higher or lower. Moving down the arms, all the way to the fingertips. Noticing if there's any tension in the hands, wrists, elbows. Noticing where in time and space your arms are resting. Are the palms up to the ceiling, down to the floor, or towards your body? Or are your hands even resting on your body? And bringing your focus now into your mid-back. Noticing if one side presses into the floor more than the other. Moving into the abdomen, noticing if there's any tensions there. Now moving to the low back, hips, and pelvis. Noticing if one hip feels higher or tighter than the other. Higher to the ceiling or higher to your armpit. Notice, is there any tension that resides in that region? Moving down into your legs, all the way to your feet. Noticing if one leg feels longer than the other. If the toes are pointed out to the side or up to the ceiling, or in towards each other. Noticing any tension in through the joints, the knees, ankles, and all the little joints of the feet. Just allowing yourself to notice whatever it is that you notice. So we're going to begin with a tilt and flatten. So I invite you to bend your knees and bring your feet flat on the floor. So allowing yourself to focus into the words that I say, being curious about the movement that occurs in your body. So as we breathe in, we're going to think about the belly button rising up to the ceiling. And as we breathe out, it flattening back down. Notice a contraction in the abdomen as we exhale, an expansion as we inhale. As we take our next inhale, we can draw our attention to our tailbone. Breathing in, the tip of the tailbone goes down towards the floor. Breathing out, the tip of the tailbone goes up to the ceiling. Very gentle movements, just in awareness. Breathing in, tip of the tailbone goes down to the ceiling. Down to the floor. And as we exhale, feeling the contraction in the abdomen and the back flattening to the floor. As we breathe in, we'll feel the arch of the back and tip of the tailbone. Allowing our awareness to expand as we follow the movement of the breath and the tailbone, noticing up into the head. Does the head move with this breath as well? Do the shoulders move? Or are they rigid? Can we invite softness and flow? As we breathe in, that belly button rises up, back gently arches, tailbone tilts down. As we breathe out, tailbone tips up, back flattens to the floor. We might notice the concave of the shoulders. Breathing in, that belly button rises, the shoulders drop gently to the floor. Breathing out. Wonderful. Let yourself notice, can you soften in the neck as you do this? Allowing yourself to notice as you breathe out. And as you breathe in, is it like sniffing a flower? And a little tilt of the head. Not forcing, just allowing yourself to be soft and curious. And just letting yourself breathe naturally. at your own pace. Allowing everything that got woken up to draw the attention to those movements. Allow them to be soft. Allow them a moment just to rest. I invite you to stretch your legs out long. We're going to bring our arms up and above our heads, resting on the floor, wherever it's comfortable. We're going to think about our body being almost like an X. So widening our stance just a little bit wider than hips, and arms just a little wider than shoulders. And just adjust accordingly with what feels right to you. Let yourself look at your body with curiosity, much like you would an experiment. So at first, we're going to think about lengthening the right leg down towards that opposite wall. And slowly, with control, bringing that right leg up to neutral. And we're going to do the right leg and stretching up that left arm like we're reaching for that wall on the other side. So both at the same time, the right leg and the left arm. And slowly, with control, bringing them back to neutral. And letting everything soften and everything rest. All the muscles that got engaged. Now let's think about that left leg. Thinking about extending that left leg to the wall. Reaching out. You might notice the opposite leg rise up as you do so. And slowly, with control, bringing it back to neutral. One more time, just the leg. With control, bringing it back to neutral. And notice, is it a slow, controlled movement to bring it back? And when you're ready, extending that left leg and the right arm out away from each other. And slowly, with control, bringing them back together. Switching to the right leg and left arm, extending them out. And at your own pace, slowly, with control, bringing them back to neutral. When you get to neutral, begin with the other leg. Notice how one side is different than the other. Notice if there's a quickening to the movement on one side. And continuing on with both sides, really inviting yourself in to witness how the movement is. Is it slow and controlled, or does it go slow and then a little quicker? If it goes slow and then a little quicker, really allow yourself to play with where that quickening happens and extend a little bit more. One more time on each side. Allowing everything to soften and everything to rest. Noticing if you're holding any tension in the jaw. in your tongue. I'm going to invite you to bring your arms out to a T. And bringing your knees up, resting the feet flat on the floor. I'm going to invite you to leave your left palm up to the ceiling and rotate from the shoulder, the right palm down to the floor. And slowly with control, changing the hand positions. So the right goes up and the left goes down. Notice, can you do that motion at the same time? Really slow and controlled from the shoulder. Noticing if you're moving from the shoulder or the elbow. You'll notice as you move the palm up, the shoulder goes up. As you move the palm down, the shoulder will go down to the floor. Really inviting yourself to notice into the shoulder, moving from the shoulder versus the elbow. And is it easier on one side than the other? Just connect on the shoulders just to give a little bit of feedback. So really feeling how when you move, how they can potentially move versus movement from the elbow. Notice how one may move a little easier than the other. And so what I'm going to have you do is slow it down. When we slow everything down, it really gives the body time to notice where things are moving and where they're not. So I'm going to invite you to look towards the palm that is up. And again, this is all about slow and controlled movements into the movement and out of the movement. So as you slowly, with control, change the hand positions, rotating from the shoulders versus the elbow, turning towards the palm that is up. And allowing everything to rest, everything to soften when you're at neutral. Really rotating from the shoulders versus the elbows. And we're going to pause there gently. We're going to allow the knees to drift to the opposite side that the head is turned to. So in this moment, the head is turned right, the legs will drift left. And so when we're doing some of these motions, less is really more. Because from this position of this drift, we're going to need to slowly control. And so even that's fast. So even if you can think of it slower, so less can be a lot. And even sometimes doing it in our own mind's eye can be even more helpful. And then from there, slow and control. Having the head and the knees meet at neutral as you're turning back. So slow and control. Turning the hands and changing from the shoulders. And slow and control. And the reason that we sometimes will do less of a movement is because it's not necessarily about a stretch per se. It's about that slow, controlled movement back in, helping the resting point be discovered as something anew. And so that's why we invite our brains to throw everything that we know out the window. And one more time each side. Rotating from the shoulders, slow and control, bringing the hips back to neutral, and notice if there's little glitches. Can you notice where it doesn't move quite as controlled and slow as other movements? Allowing everything to just soften. Legs can go long, arms can go wherever they'd like. Let every muscle, every fiber, just to rest. Allow everything to soften. And when you're ready, I'll have you turn over onto your stomach. Your palms can rest underneath your forehead. And if you want a pillow underneath your ankles, it can help them just rest just a little bit more. That's the key. We want our body to learn what a restful state might feel like. So from this position on our belly, leaving the head resting on the floor, we're going to think about bringing our elbows just up and off the floor just a little bit. Thinking about contracting through the rhomboids between the shoulder blades and slowly with control, bringing them back down to neutral. Notice as you get back down to the floor, does it almost feel like you're missing a step because you're at the bottom, but then all of a sudden you can relax even more? So this time, allow yourself to gently lift those elbows up off the floor and slowly with control bringing them down. Notice slowly, like a slow motion movie. Can you control them all the way down to the floor, controlling all the muscles as they go back down to neutral, slowly with control all the way down. And then allowing everything to soften, everything to rest. And one more time, just the elbows, thinking about lifting the elbows off the ground. And slowly with control, bring them down. Notice, are there little tuk-tuk-tuks? And if so, bring it back up a little bit and then take it back through. Help your body learn a new resting point. Learn the missing information. For it's like reading a book and we're reading the lines. Sometimes we'll skip multiple words. We still get the gist of it. However, when we go back and read each of the words, more information can be obtained, allowing everything to soften, everything to rest. Noticing if the hips or glutes or even the feet got engaged on that, allowing them to soften. And on this next one, thinking about having the hands glued to the head And as we lift the elbows, we can lift the head and hands up just a little bit off the floor, thinking about that contraction in the back body, and slowly with control, lengthen back down, slowly with control to the floor. All the way, take your time and notice if there's those little tuk, 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 tuk movements. Recontract a little bit and take it through again. Yeah. And take your time getting all the way with slow and controlled until everything lengthens. And then give yourself a moment to let every muscle that got engaged in that to soften and release and relax. And slowly, when you're ready, just lifting up that little bit, because you know that you've got to go slowly down with control. Head, hands, elbows, just up a little bit, thinking about looking up with your eyes. And slowly with control, bringing it all back down to neutral, really bearing witness to where there's missing information. Where does it move like tuk, 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 or a little quicker than you were before? Those are the places that we really want to bring awareness into, to recontract and take through. Allowing yourself to slowly, with control, all the way down to neutral, all the way down to rest. And then when you're there, let every muscle, every fiber, every cell of your being soften and rest. And from this position, I invite you to turn your head to one side or the other. So turning our head to the right, we're going to think about our palm being glued to our left cheek. And that right arm can rest wherever it feels comfortable. And we're going to think about lifting the elbow and shoulder up and off the floor and head as we think about looking over that right shoulder. So on your next inhale, lifting, thinking about our palm being glued to our cheek as we look over that right shoulder. Our elbow will come up off the floor, our cheek will come up off the floor if it's right for us. Our hand is glued to our cheek, looking over that right shoulder and slowly with control bringing it back down. Slow and control, yeah. Really watching for those little gaps in information. All the way down to neutral. And letting everything soften and everything rest. And when you're ready, slowly lifting the elbow and the hand and the cheek up off of the floor, looking over that shoulder, thinking about shortening the shoulder blade to the hip. And now slowly with control, bringing it all back down to neutral. Watching for those little quickenings and then recontract and bring it through again. Control all the way down to neutral. And then let everything rest. Let everything soften. We're going to engage the left leg at this time as well. So we're going to think about lifting the left leg from the hip as we do the lift of the head, hand, and elbow, looking up over that right shoulder. We're going to lift from the hip, lifting the left leg, bringing that shortening line between the hip and that shoulder, and slowly with control, lengthening it all back down to neutral. Slow and control. Taking your time. And then when you're at neutral, let everything soften. Let everything rest. When you're ready on your next breath, looking over that right shoulder and engaging that left leg, lifting that left leg. And it's not about how far you can go, because it's about the control that you have on the way down. Lengthening and softening those muscles and noticing if that movement was different than the others. Control all the way down. And then when you're at neutral, let everything soften and everything rest. I'm going to invite attention one more time on this side, noticing when you lift the elbow and head and neck off the floor, are you slightly side bending as well? Or is the contraction primarily through the shoulder blade and the hip? Or are you kind of side bending this way to do the motion? Just allowing yourself to be curious. So when you're ready, and slowly with control, it's when our body holds particular patterns, we can make a movement. Though, are we using what is the most effective parts to make that movement? When you're at neutral, let everything soften. Let everything rest. When you're ready, turning your head to the left side. Again, we're going to think about that right cheek now being glued to the left hand. And slowly, when you're ready, lifting that left elbow, hand and cheek up so you can look over that left shoulder, and slowly with control, bringing it back down to neutral. Letting everything soften and everything rest. When you're ready, again, notice, are you using the side body or are you focusing on the back muscles? And slowly with control, lengthening back down. And when you're ready, let everything soften and everything rest. And this next time you do, think about lifting and engaging that right leg, lifting up from the hip. And slowly with control, bringing it all back down to neutral. Yeah, wonderful. Really good witnessing. And when you're back at neutral, let every muscle that got engaged soften and rest. Yeah. And again on this side, lifting leg, head, neck, and elbow, looking over that shoulder, and slowly with control, and notice, can you do them both at the same time? And wonderful witnessing, slow and control all the way down, all the way to neutral, slow and controlled. And when you're there, allowing everything to soften and everything to rest. One more time on this side, allowing yourself to really draw that line between the hip and the shoulder blade, shortening that line. Noticing, has it been different on this side than the other? And if you notice one area of the body having a little bit more of that sensor motor amnesia, you can allow yourself to focus in and just do the movement that is there. And allowing yourself to soften and rest all the muscles that got engaged. And when you're ready, you can roll back onto your back. Legs can be straight or up with pillow support or not. I'm just taking a few breaths here. We're going to slowly, with control, just open the mouth to the amount that's right for you. Really feeling the expansion in the temporal joint. And slowly, with control, bringing it to close. And even if you can't, invite yourself to do the motion just a little slower. Really draw your attention in to the muscles and the joint. And one more time with this one. And notice as you do it, is there a quickening in some of the motion? Or a little glitch? So I invite you to do it one last time, bringing in even more awareness. And as you close, slowly with control. Yeah. And gently take a moment here to let everything soften. And everything rest. And letting the teeth fall apart gently so they're not joined to each other in a close. A very gentle opening. And you can bring your one hand very gently up to your jaw so it's resting on your chin. And the hand with 2 fingers on the jaw, resting on the chin, will give you a little bit of feedback. Only if it's right for you. And so allowing yourself to gently soften the jaw, and slowly with control, think about lifting the lower jaw up to the ceiling. And slowly with control, bringing it back to neutral. Slowly with control, lifting the lower jaw up to the ceiling. And slowly with control, bringing it back to neutral. And so as you lift it up to the ceiling, you'll feel the resistance into the two fingers very gently. It's almost like creating a bit of an underbite. And slowly with control, bringing it back to neutral. And then letting everything rest and everything soften. And gently softening the two fingers to the right side of the jaw. Letting the hands rest wherever they're comfortably. We're going to very gently open the jaw and think about moving the jaw gently to the right. And slowly with control, bringing it back to neutral. Noticing if there's any of those little sensor motor amnesia. And so when we do any of these motions slower, it gives us more of an opportunity to gather the information. And slowly with control, moving the jaw to the left. And slowly with control, bringing it back to neutral. When at neutral, allowing everything to soften. Everything to rest. And one more time towards the right. Slowly with control, back to neutral. One more time to the left. Slowly with control, bringing it back to center line, back to neutral. When you are back at neutral, allow every muscle that got engaged to soften and to rest. I'm going to take a moment, and on our next inhale or exhale, allow every muscle in our face to contract, like we're scrunching it right up, really tight. Then slowly with control, allow everything to lengthen, everything to soften. Every little muscle fiber to find relaxation, to find space. find rest. A deep softness, a deep rest. And if there's a particular area on the face that feels like it needs a little crunch again, scrunch, I should say, allow that area to contract. And really, like it's a slow motion movie, control the lengthening and the softening. And notice if there's glitches, recontract, re-scrunch, and take it all the way through. Allow everything in the face to soften, and every other muscle that helped the face scrunch, allow them all to soften, all to rest. When you're ready, you can bring your feet flat on the floor again, knees up to the ceiling. We're going to finish with a tilt and flatten. So thinking about as we breathe in, that belly button rises up to the ceiling, the back will arch gently. As we breathe out, we go past neutral, we feel the contraction in our abdomen. As our back flattens to the floor, our tailbone rises to the ceiling. As we breathe in, belly button rises to the ceiling, tailbone tips down to the floor, gentle back arch. And as we breathe out, tip of the tailbone tilts up, back flattens. Let us soften the shoulders. Following our own breath and holding into focus. Can we do this with ease? Can we do this with softness? Can we do this with slow and steady control? Does the head stay still, or does it move gently with the rest of the spine? And one more. Allowing everything to soften, everything to rest. Notice the contractions in through the legs and feet that got engaged to focus on those breaths. The hands, the jaw, allow it all to soften. Notice how much got involved. And allowing yourself to have your legs straight or bent, whatever's comfortable for you for the final Soma scan. Taking a few breaths here, allowing your awareness to come into your breath, noticing how it's different than it was before. Does it feel fuller or deeper? Moving your attention now to your head. Noticing if the tensions in the face and jaw are different than they were before. Noticing if your head placement is different than it was on the floor when we began. Moving your focus down into your neck, the back, sides, and front. Moving into the shoulders. Do they feel further from your ears? Or softer into the floor? Is there more space in the chest? Noticing into the shoulder blades. How do they lay on the floor differently? Moving your awareness down into your arms and hands. Notice if there's different sense of being in them as well. Notice, is their placement different? Are the palms up, down, or to your body? Notice if the arms are further away or closer to your body than they were before. Moving into your mid-back, notice if you can feel your breath land and expand on the floor just a little bit more. Into the abdomen, noticing if there's a more openness and softness. Into the hips, low back, and pelvis. Notice if the hips feel more aligned or more neutral. Notice if there's a different quality in them. Moving down through the legs, the knees, ankles, and feet. Notice if the legs feel more equal. Notice if there's different quality of tension through your legs, through your feet, through all the joints. Reconnecting and re-noticing how your body is laying on the floor. Do you notice more areas that are able to be connected? More areas that are able to be supported? Taking a moment of curiosity to scan and give attention to any areas that draw your attention. And when you're ready, just allowing yourself to lay on your side for a moment and proceed into a seated position. And thank you for allowing yourself to be curious about your body, to investigate movements in a new way. Thank you.